2022 draft, and then tell me in no certain order. Tell me who your top five.
This draft class is not the most overall talented for it's like having a guy that you can name right off the chart that's going to be the best guy.
Right.
But it has the most consistent running backs that'll be quality running backs all across the board. Usually you have 2 or 3 great running backs, maybe 2 that's in the draft, and maybe 3 or 4 that may be okay, that make it rotate in the league. I had on him that I thought he was going to run a high 4.5, 4.6 in the 40. Came and ran a low 4.4. And I think that opened a lot of eyes to scouts because I think they were questioning his breakaway speed. And, I had the chance to work with Tyler, for a short period of time from maybe his sophomore year in high school through his senior year in high school. And I never forget, it was SEC teams. I was begging him. I said, hey, man, let's take a look at this guy. He's not big enough, and he doesn't run hard enough. I said, trust my word on it. If you don't offer this guy, you're gonna regret it. And I have coaches tell me all the time that come back and say, man, you told me about that Tyler Goodson guy. I said, I know. And he comes from a good family. His dad is a workaholic. I mean, he pushes him to the max. So just having that foundation and the things that he has, I mean, you can't go wrong with having him in your top 5.
Now, what school was he at again?
Came out of North Gwinnett High School. High School. So I've had time to watch him for a while.
And he went to what college again?
Iowa.
Wow.
I don't know who he is.
Now, that's because you really hit me over the head with that one. I wasn't ready. That you got me. I will admit it. But I knew you would bring that because the whole deal is I want people to know about these other kids and I'm talking sports fans. It's from a person that played the game at the highest level and being able to now train players in the highest level. So when you hear that name, you know that he came from the running back came from Iowa. He's a Metro Atlanta kid, North Gwinnett High School.
Yes, sir.
And you got him in your top 5, which tells me he must be doing something right.
Hey, and I'm gonna tell you, even from a mental standpoint, I mean, the guy works his butt off, man. Nothing gets to him. He's a yes sir, no sir guy. Really humble, hard worker. I mean, with the talent he has and having all those attributes and having the family background and just everybody in his corner pushing him, I mean, sky's the limit for that one.
What about his pass protection? Is he adequate at that, or is that something he need to work on the next level?
Right now, I mean, I guess just being the only back because I know at Iowa he split time. So when he gets in the system where he's getting the ball 15, 20 times a game, on a regular basis, I think people are going to be impressed with him.
Awesome. Let's go to the next one.
Number 3, I'm going to go with Priest Hall, Iowa State. Got him at number 3. So I like Priest. I've had the opportunity to talk to him several times. And so I'm going to be honest, this top 3, you can really go anyway. I mean, I can put these top 3 in any order outside of my number 1. Outside of my number 1, you can put these 3 in any order. Recently, you look at him. I mean, he has NCAA record in touchdowns, so he has a nose for the end zone. That's what I was most impressed about. When I watched this film, there were plays where he shouldn't have scored. Okay. but it's like when he sees it's close to the end zone, he just goes to a different zone. Like his mindset is, I got to get points. Not a real big burner on the
Yeah, I was going to say that.
But consistent. He finishes runs. He pass protects well. I mean, so anybody like that, you can't turn down. So I had to put him in my top 5, top 3.
Okay, so what about the competition that he faced? Do you
that's
feel
why
like
that's the only reason why I put him at number 3? And so, like I said, these top 3, you can put them in any order as well. Okay. But I put him at number 3 because I just haven't seen him play against the dogs. I mean, I ain't seen him play against Georgia, Alabama, LSU. I mean, football is football. But when I'm evaluating, it's kind of hard when you got these other 2 that are sitting on the list with them. I mean, I can't put them in front of these other guys.
Now, I'm gonna play devil's advocate for a minute before you get these last 2, because when you look at on the field 11 defenders, and how many of those 11 defenders are really high level, average to high level players? Or let's just say high level. I mean, and you compare those. How do you make that comparison?
There's maybe only 5 players on the defense that he plays against on a regular that's going to be maybe even get a chance at the NFL. And you look at the other 2 guys, almost everybody on the field has a chance to go to the NFL. So that's what we're going to jump right into number 2. Okay. And you're going to like this. We're going to go with Brian Robinson Jr. out of University of Alabama. I mean, a lot of people are sleeping on this guy. If you watch him, and he was hurt most of the season.
Yes.
Watch him. I'm not even talking about what he did this year. If you watch what he did the past year, coming off the bench for Najee, I was very, very impressed. Very, very impressed. So he was splitting roles with Jason McClendon, who also worked for me as well. I mean, great running back. I see him being, a first rounder within the next year or two as well. So to see them two work together and how he had to take over the backfield by himself after that was very impressive. Catches the ball well out the backfield.
Yes.
Pass protects. He doesn't look like a big guy, but he actually has great size to him. The only knock on him is, his breakaway speed. But honestly, I mean, that's not really that important. He can break a 50-yard run when needed. I think people put too much importance into the 40. Not all 40-yard runners are 40-yard runners on the field. He may run a 4.4, 4.3 on the field and a 4.5 on the clock.
Break that down, please. Break that down, Brad, for the viewers and the listeners here on Coach One Sports. Break that down, because you just said something that is truly out of the box, and I heard it, but I want everybody to understand what you just said about that 40.
Yes, sir. The 40-yard dash does not equate to football. I mean, it's an athletic tool that shows potential of what he may bring to the table, but you never know what's in that running back's heart or what's in his mindset when he get on the field, or some of those guys. I mean, they're track guys and they just run fast regardless. It don't matter what's in front of them. And you have some when they see what they want and they got a football in their hand, that 4.4, 4.5 can turn into something completely different. I'm a huge believer in that. Let's look at Devin Hester as an example. 4.5 at the combine.
Right, he ran a 4.5 at the combine.
If I'm not mistaken, right?
Right.
Who's catching him in the open field?
Nobody.
Exactly. So that's my point with the 40 is I mean, it's good to have, but I don't equate that to, oh man, I'm not going to draft this guy because he ran a high 4.5 or he ran a low 4.6. I think a lot of these guys, again, remember he was hurt a lot last year.
Right.
He's coming off an injury. You only get 6 to 7 weeks to train for the combine. So you mean to tell me you wanted him to go from a football player to a track runner with the injury within 6 to 7 weeks? So I think we just, we overlook things in the 40. Even when it goes back to the receivers, a lot of those guys that ran a fast 4. I went back and looked at the film. They dropped balls left and right. So that don't make them a great receiver.
They dropped a lot of balls.
They dropped a lot of balls.
And another thing about Brian Robinson, to go with what you said, he had over 1,300 yards, but he had almost 270 carries.
Yes, sir. I'm gonna tell you, this is the biggest thing that impressed me. I'll never forget. They played here against Miami for game week 1. I'm watching close, and one of the other running backs, the third team running back, fumbled the ball.
Right.
And I see him on the sideline. I mean, he's going off on him. I mean, like, I can't tell you, it almost like he was almost beating him up. Like, to take that kind of leadership, because that's your backfield and you don't want no footballs on the ground.
Right.
I mean, I love that, man. And then you got to think too. His selfishness is he's so unselfish. He sat there for 5 seasons, and waited his time, but behind numerous of great running backs that came through the university. So to have that commitment and not be selfish and wait your turn and then perform when it's your turn, that should be an eye opener for the scouts. Like, hey, we got a guy that's a team player that can play football, and he's about us. So
and mentally tough.
He's mentally tough. I mean, that guy's mentally tough, man. I don't see a flaw in him. I don't see a flaw in him.
That sounds like a Patriots play or Steelers. Well, not a Steelers because we already got somebody. Maybe it's the Ravens. Maybe it's the Ravens.
The Ravens. Ravens would be great.
Well, how about the Falcons?
We're gonna move to number 1.
Okay.
And it's gonna surprise everybody. I already know it's gonna surprise everybody. But I'm gonna talk about him before I say a name. The guy is basically a 4-year starter, dominant. Finished his college career with 5.5 yards per carry.
Okay.
Didn't have a 1,000-yard season, but the most consistent running back in this NFL draft. Plays on special teams. Pass protection that's the only thing I would question, but that's something that can be corrected. He has one of the best running back coaches in college football. Not my favorite team, but I'm gonna have to go with Zamir White, University of Georgia. And if you look at him year in and year out, this man is very, very consistent. He split the ball with 4 different running backs last year. He had Kendall Milton. He had James Cook, and then I forgot
McIntosh.
And then there was another guy. It was 5 running backs that he split time with. So he wasn't getting the ball
Milton.
nowhere near as much as these other guys in the NFL draft are. And I hope scouts are looking at that. I mean, when you look at him every year, he's consistent. I mean, you can't get one better.
Now tell me,
that's saying a lot because I'm not a Georgia fan, not a Georgia guy, but I'm gonna call a spade, and he's the best running back in this NFL draft by far.
Okay, what about James Cook? Would James Cook be?
I like James.
Why didn't he make your top 10?
James, I haven't seen him take on a full role yet. I've seen him come in and spill off. I've seen him come in. He reminds me of a lot of. He's similar. He doesn't remind me exactly of, but his style is similar to Alvin Kamara. He's gonna come in on third down and make a play. But Alvin, he's grown to be an every down back now. James is a great athlete. I like him, and I only had top 10, so it's hard to put him in there. But
wow,
he's an exceptional one too. He has breakaway speed that can't be matched. But when it comes to an every down back and someone that, hey, it's going to be a game in the trenches day, I need you to take over, I'm going with Zamir White.
And he also came off injury going into.
He came off, and that was another thing. When he came off it wasn't really that long ago. And so if you got to think of it, like maybe a year and a half, 2 years ago. And he tore that knee twice. He tore it before he came to Georgia.
Right.
And then he re-injured it coming back too fast. But I mean, I'll tell you, every down back, great catching the ball out the backfield. Coached by Dale McGee, who I see as one of the best running back coaches in college football. Dale definitely like a big brother. So he gives me a lot of advice, and like paves the way for as a mentorship for running back coaches in college, NFL, all across the board for me. I like how he coaches his backs, and this is the thing I look at too with UGA's backfield. You very rarely hear of a guy transferring out of their backfield. That's
love
for how he's coached, how they managed, and just the production that they have for us putting them in the NFL.
That shows love. That's one of those subtle areas of kids really respecting the coach that recruited them.
Definitely.
And I'm with you again when you talk about Dale McGee, who I love as a man, a father, and as a coach, and just a class act. So it's fitting that what he's been able to put together and bring to Georgia as far as running backs. Well, again, we talk about why they were, as good as they were. And I agree with you. Final thoughts on where do you think the first running back will go in the draft? Just give me your thoughts. Top 15, bottom 15, or early in the second round.
Honestly, with the receivers and quarterbacks and the needs in the NFL this year, I don't see one. Honestly, I don't see one